We are the Braxtons, and you'll see that we are not like an ordinary family. Tony, Tracy, Tawanda, Trina, Tamar, and Miss E will teach you a thing or two. The Braxton family values. No, I'm just playing, y'all. Hey, welcome to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy, James, where I am here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. And thank you to the lovely Braxton sisters. It is not going to happen this good Saturday morning. But joining me as always is my co-host, Mrs. Best. Y'all say what's up to her.
Good morning. I hope that everybody likes the video. I am still waking up, but I am happy to be here.
Yes, I had to drag her out this early morning on this lovely Saturday, y'all, because I have so much to do today that if I did not come to y'all today, I don't know when these videos would come out. So we are here to talk about the Braxton. Good morning, Shani. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. Um, y'all, this was a lot. I and the reason why I started out with the Braxton Family Values theme song is because I miss that element of the Braxtons, the sisters that we got, you know, of them singing together, of them laughing together, of them enjoying each other, of them having issues with each other. Don't get me wrong, that was very evident in all of the seasons of the Braxtons, but it was never this cutthroat. Like, it was never this insane of just spewing out all kind of like family business that has no business on TV. Like, there is no reason why this stuff should be here. Like, I don't know what they signed their contracts for, but y'all need to get that reanalyzed and reviewed and pull this shit off TV, because there's no way that y'all should be doing this. Like, I am so disappointed in the four of them. So disappointed as a fan of the Braxton Family Values and enjoying you guys and really seeing. I am so disappointed. Mrs. Best, how do you feel about the Braxtons?
Um, it's draining. It's draining. I get that they're a real family and real families have issues, but this is draining. I just the African in me just goes, "Oy, oy," and that's it. Because that's all you really can do to it. It's like there's so many elements that prove to you why the show shouldn't have been done. Number one, our comic relief was Tracy in every single scene that Tracy was in, even when they used to bully her, like Tony telling her she could stand to lose some weight with the family therapist. Like Tracy would feel pain but still find a way to laugh. I think that's a skill in life that a lot of people struggle with. And it made the show tolerable. Without Tracy, we've got an elderly woman that needs case management because her children are too busy. We've got um, a bald headed ragamuffin running rampant with uneven eyebrows. We've got Trina with also equally bad eyebrows, questionable fashions, shady husband that loves fritters. And it's not Tony and Tamar are now so busy and solidified in their careers that we're not even getting the Tamar that used to entertain us that much because she's busy. She's got shows on television, she's doing shows on TV, she's being booked for singing her songs in shows. Like, and then Tony has always been kind of too busy. So it's like James said something to me in our private talks that kind of like resonated with me. He's tired of watching Tony Braxton in her car. That's kind of how I feel with Tony and Tamar. Though Tamar's going throughout the season, it seems, doing press tours and working, she's doing it discussing the family. And so I'm kind of just feeling like they're too busy for this. This show was for Trina and Tawanda, probably more Tawanda than anybody.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Shane said the bald headed sister, what in the hell was that dress she came out wearing? Oh my goodness, that was her wedding dress. No, stop, don't wear that. I don't know if
Let
that's
me
what she actually
let,
wore, but
let me
we'll
tell
get
you
to that.
this, Shani. When we get to that part, I'm tired. I'm still waking up, but I'm just woke enough to read that bitch. I didn't understand any of it, and we go talk about it because Tawanda, y'all probably gonna tell me I'm a bully. I don't care. I'm gonna take it because I'm about to roast her this live.
No, please do because then she got on my nerves as well. So let's get started with the episode because we almost 10 minutes in, and I'm like, ooh, I had to get that off my chest because I'm so disappointed. But the episode opens up once again. We have another episode with the sequence of this very tumultuous dinner that we're a couple of weeks early for. So I'm like, okay, if y'all keep airing bits and pieces of this dinner, then how much of that conversation are we actually going to get when y'all air the shit at the end of the episode and the beginning of next? Because I'm not even interested anymore after this. So Tamar is bringing up the cease and desist and wants to know who gave the family attorney her address. And she's looking at Tony and Trina because she said Tawanda, because Tawanda said, I don't have your address. And she goes, of course not, because you never visit me. And she goes, but I know your address. I put the down payment on your house. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Back up. Because all Tawanda could say, beautiful. Beautiful. That's all you can say, Tawanda. So let me get this straight. Because now I need, because when I tell you I was stuck on that part, me and Mrs. Best was talking about this for literally almost an hour. I'm like, okay, I have questions now. One, does Sean live in that house too? That's my first question. Because if he does, why didn't he give you the down payment for the house? Why did Tamar have to do it? Second, I think Miss E put her up to it. Because I don't think Tamar would willingly do that. I just don't. I don't see her willingly do that. I think she did that off the back of Miss E. And y'all, this is my honest opinion. It's alleged. I'm not saying it's true. There was no conversation. Nothing Tamar put out in the media that explains that. But I can't imagine somebody putting down a down payment in Atlanta, which is between probably 15 to 30K. Somewhere around that range, depending on what kind of house she has. We haven't seen it, so we don't know. So I'm stuck on that, y'all. I was so stuck on that, but I'm gonna continue on because yeah, that's a lot to unpack. So Tamar also alleges that Tawanda steals, from her credit cards and stuff. And once again, Tawanda does not deny it, but she says, I know what you steal. And Tamar said, I ain't never stole nothing. And Tawanda puts out, oh, so you didn't sleep with Tony's ex-boyfriend? She said, who? And when Tawanda, they blurted out the name, which I don't know why they did that. Like, what y'all blurted it out for? Was it not Carrie or was it not Birdman? Who was it then? So, and Tamar said, that is a lie. That is a lie. And she gets up, splashes water. And it was Trina's face for me that made me go, mm, 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 mm. Y'all are a mess. So, it turns into this whole catastrophe because now Tony got activated. She getting up, and once again, we're paused 2 weeks before. So last week we were 3 weeks. Now this week we're two. I say, if y'all don't stop doing this, we're not gonna have any entertainment for this show because this is already draining enough. So before I move on, Mrs. Best, how did you feel about the tea that was exposed about the sisters, and do you think it was necessary for them to do this?
Let me tell you this. Some not learn with family. Family be the closest people to you. People, especially black people, have this ignorant and negative viewpoint on family as if you have to just stick beside them and forgive. Some things are not forgivable. And if you're not accountable with family, then when you go out into the real world, you're not going to be accountable with others either, which is probably why the world is so toe up. They are definitely an example of that. How fucking dare you, Tawanda? How dare you be such a broke bummy bitch that you can't get up and go get a regular job or go to school like Trina did to have something to fall back on? Instead, every time you have to go through something in life, somebody else comes to rescue you. What this tells me is that Tawanda is a spoiled, jealous brat. Because years ago, when we met them on the first part of the show, Tawanda was living in somebody's house in Atlanta. I think it was Tony.
It was Tony's. She was living at
Yeah.
Tony's house.
And
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so you was living with Tony's house, driving the car that Tamar bought you. Your husband was driving the car that Tamar bought you. He didn't work either, but it's looking like something Tawanda and Andre probably had back in common back in the day is the fact that they don't want to work. She may be working now because she's getting the type of jobs that she wants, but it doesn't seem like she cares to do too much to like create a brand for her or do something. Like Trina solidified herself. She did talk shows, she created Bar Chick, she's written books, she's now into cooking. She did something for herself. Tamar, great voice, made a music career out of herself, but also does television, has done shows, has done several things, has a podcast, keeps that going. You look at Tracy when Tracy was alive, and she was the underrated Braxton she really was. But Tracy put out Last Call. She put out music. She chased her goals. She chased her dreams. She did marriage boot camp, kept the show going. To me, it looked like everybody in the family got work ethic but Twanda. So how dare you feel the need to even pick a fight with your sister that you have not been the nicest to? And in spite of it all, she was still willing to give you the down payment for your house. So as bad as they try to make Tamar seem, Tamar is exactly what the BFV, the Braxton Family Values, were and were supposed to represent, which is no matter what they go through, no matter how they fight, they still show up for one another. It seems like Tamar always shows up for people. And if anything, she's busier than Tony Braxton right now. It's quiet as kept. But she still shows up for all of them, including this show, because she knows if she didn't do it, they would struggle, not her. So ungrateful. What's them people in the Bible, y'all? I grew up Muslim, so I still be fuzzy sometimes on the Bible, but them siblings, one of them did the other dirty. I'm losing my mind right now, but I can't think of the name of it. But Tawanda gives me that sibling in the Bible that'll betray you. She
Was it
does.
Cain? Was it Cain and Abel?
Yeah, I think it was. Tawanda give
I
me the
feel
one
like
that'll betray you.
I
She
think it
just
was Cain.
does.
Yeah.
Because, like, I just don't get that. If someone were to let me live with them for free, take care of me, give me down payment for a house, like that's priceless. Like that's the support that we all wish we had. She has it and chooses to start a beef. And you don't deny stealing from her credit cards either. And I see a lot of people in the comments who love to hate on Tamar. I'm sorry, I'm calling bias, love to view the point as, oh, well, why is Tamar saying something? Why is she doing all of this? And it's one of those things where you just have to say, like, Tawanda probably did get an emergency credit card or something like that from Tamar since Tawanda's always struggling with money. But emergency credit card is that. I can hand James a credit card and say, I want you to use this only in an emergency. If he uses it outside of an emergency, that to me is stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Use it for what the fuck I gave it to you for, especially if I'm helping you and you got kids. So no matter what way you look at this, I'll never see it for Tawanda and the rest of the sisters after this because Tamar done helped each and every one of y'all, but y'all want to send her a cease and desist. And Tony ain't shit because you the oldest and you the leader of them all. Tamar's the one that's been closest to you. You know all siblings have their little cliques, but you could tell that Trina and Tawanda have always been very close. Tracy was good with everybody, and Tamar and Tony seem to be cool. So Tamar's right. I don't feel like Trina would give her address. I just don't. But I do feel like Tony would.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to see clips of this, but I guarantee you, knowing WeTV, because they do this with Mama June, at the end of it, they're going to put together the whole conversation. It's probably going to be 5 minutes of it we didn't already see.
I hate when they do that thing because we TV, y'all need to get another direction. If this is what y'all are going to do, y'all need to get another direction because now I don't even care about this dinner anymore because what else can they expose that wasn't already as terrible that y'all are leaking in the first 5 minutes of this episode? I don't understand this. But we're going to move on to the rest of this episode because I'm only going to talk about a few points. That was, you know, there wasn't really much to really go off of. Shani said, let me stay in your house rent free and then help me with a down payment on my house. Sis, you don't ever have to ask me for anything from me ever again. Whatever you need, you got it all day. When I tell you she would be in a 1 bedroom apartment with them babies, because ain't no way in hell I'm handing you however much she paid for that. I'm gonna say it's probably 25 to 30, depending on what I don't know what the house looks like. I don't know what the house is. I don't care if it was $50. She
We
still
would
gave it
love
to
to
you.
know. She's so busy trying to take down her sister. We ain't seen your house, bitch. But one thing Tawanda will know, she's doing all of this and trying so hard to make her sister look so bad. But when you lay your head down at night, you laying in some shit she paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yep.
probably why she's so mad.
Absolutely. Shani said, you can say, dang, I wish I had a Sprite right now, homie. I'm coming with 2 cases of Sprite for you. I'm that person too. But here's the thing, and this is where Tawana gets on my nerves, is that she'll act like Tamar don't do shit for her.
Mm-hmm.
And did she act like Tamar don't have her back and that she's this mean spirited person? Because the way she talks about Tamar on this show, especially in season 1, that Tamar represents an energy she doesn't want in her life, but you living in the house that she put the down payment on. How does that make sense to me in my mind? Because you conveniently left that part out of the conversation. I'm glad she exposed you. Because how can you
Right.
say somebody, your spirits don't align and your energy doesn't align, but you living in a house that you wouldn't have had it not been for her? Come on, I'm sorry. And the way you find peace is in your home, isn't that what we're
And
pledging?
shame on Tawanda's husband, whatever the hell that little man is with his weed. Because let me tell you this. There was a time I had problems with my siblings, all of them. I'm the oldest of four. Was not speaking to any of them for, I would say, like a year and a half, almost 2 years. My husband encouraged me whenever the topic came up to talk to them. Like, I mean, it's not your parents, it's your siblings. That's different. Y'all was all kind of fucked over, which is a good, way to put things. Like, you don't choose the way you are, you don't choose the way you navigate. They don't choose the way their sisterhood goes. Like, really, a lot of that is on Miss E, but it's crazy that Tawanda's husband has the attitude of I let them be them. I think we talked about that in your updates video. I've been
Yeah.
around Braxtons this long. I just stay out of it. You can stay out of it, but you can also encourage your wife, like, listen, you got one sibling. You got one mom. Like, you can push the people you love to at least make peace for their sake. So
Or at
that's
least encourage her, because at the end of the day, because I want to say he probably living in her house as well. If this is the instance, like, you have to understand, she is giving her X amount of money and she's done this more than one time. So it's like you can at least encourage her to be better, because what problem other than Tamar being obnoxious, what other problem would she have with Tamar that really is that detrimental, where you don't pick up the phone and call her, or
that
you don't
they the
say, hey
same
sis?
age and she's the older sibling and Tamar became the one that's more famous. I don't know why, but I feel like their family has some sort of pecking order, especially the way Miss E was with them. And I feel like Tawanda probably feels it should have been her that's in the limelight as Miss Tamar. I really think it's jealousy, just how she operates.
But she had the same opportunities, she had the same
Have you
situation.
heard her sing? She sure did not. But yeah, she does. Like, she could sing. I'm not saying Tawanda can't sing, but Tawanda don't have the voice for me that would be like main star. She gives someone that would be kind of like Kim on Deb's house singing backup, and nothing's wrong with that.
um Yeah, let me get through some of these comments real quick before I move on. Hi, Dimples on Demand. I have not seen you in a while. I'm so happy that you popped in to like the video. Thank you so, so much. We'll hope to catch up with you soon. Hi, Kiwan. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you so much. Shani said, that's what I was sitting here trying to figure out last night. Does this man have a weave in his hair now, or a wig? It's a wig. And so he was bald headed. You can't sprout that much of hair in 30 days
Oh,
for a
that was
week.
a weave. They didn't put a wig on him. That was a weave. They had put the whole thing together, glued it on his head. That man walked out of there with a quick weave.
Same thing. To me, it don't belong on his head. Let me just say it. Look like Velcro. We need to cut it out. Hi, DM Rocks. Thank you for being here this morning. I appreciate you. Hey, who do you think sent the cease and desist to Tamar? Miss E and the brother, allegedly. That's my guess. I think here's the thing. I think collectively they all had a hand in it. I think Miss E and the brother probably sent the cease and desist to Tamar, and I think Tony paid for it. That's just my honest opinion. That's my opinion. This is alleged. I'm not saying it's true or not because
I mean, that's clear. It's come out that Ashley's dad sent a cease and desist. I can't see a father silencing his own child without pressure from family. I feel
yep.
like the family probably had it come from Miss E so that Tamar could not have further issue with the siblings, because that is something that Michael and Ms. E would do to protect Tamar. In their minds, it's like, okay, well, we know that the sisters are already rocky. Let's just let Mama E do it. Then they won't get mad at Tamar. But I think Tamar knew that. She's not stupid. See, families, what they did was what most families are guilty of with the youngest. Assume that and look at them in the light of a child as if they are not smart enough to connect the dots and figure it out. When y'all treat somebody like shit, even if it's your blood for years and years, eventually that person, you learn the most about people through experiencing the worst of them. You
Yep.
really do. So, and Tamar's been experiencing the worst of these niggas for years. I'm sure she knows who figured it out. And they seem like they're manipulative enough to try and like make it seem like it's something that it's not. But Miss E is the problem. I've been saying this for years. James been saying it for years. And
Yep.
it's not us talking about their mama. So any Braxtons, friends of Braxtons, or diehard fans that don't have a life and are obsessed with these people, it's just a fact. Your parents are the foundation of how you operate within your family and especially with your siblings. This is
Hmm.
Miss E and Michael Braxton's fault, but more so Miss E if you actually watch the show, because
Yep.
they kind of ousted the dad out for cheating on their mama, which had nothing to do with them. So
Well, it had nothing to do with them, but then also they made that the focal point of what the wrong was. Okay, that's the focal point of what the wrong was. But at the end of the day, how did we overcome this? We didn't. We just were bitter. We were just, explaining how that man did this to me. That man did this to me. That man showed me this. That man was crying, still wanted to be with that woman. It was like, okay. So how did you heal from this? And a lot of people say, oh, you go to God. It's like, no. God put therapists in this world for a reason, because human instinctively we can't pray to the intangible and then think, oh, it's all gone. No, we have to work through cycles, and that's what therapy is for. So no, I just feel like, yeah, she caused all her daughters to be bitter, and then when certain daughters didn't choose her and chose the daddy, she punished them for it. I do believe in some way she punished Tracy for that. I do. That's just my honest opinion, and that's why Tracy was always on the outs. That's my honest opinion. Can Tawanda sing also, or do all the Braxton sings? All the Braxton sings, and she has a very interesting voice tone. I'll just say that. I listened to the Christmas album not that long ago. It's yeah, it's different. I will say that. Why
the
didn't he?
weaker singers in the Braxton family have always, in my opinion, been Tawanda and Tracy. You could tell that they were the two that like learned to sing but did not have that natural, you know, natural gift. They both struggled. But Tawanda, her voice, like at least Tracy could go to a track. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Tawanda, I can't even hear her on a track. Sorry,
Yeah.
Tawanda.
Shandy said, "Why didn't he just stay bald? Does he look better now, or does he look better bald? They didn't show no flashback pictures of him. When you watch him on Braxton, well, one, he's put on a lot of weight, because I didn't recognize him when they came back with the Braxtons. I didn't recognize him at all because he was much thinner and much skinnier in the Braxton Family Values, because he was on the last season. So I didn't think. I told Mrs. Best I didn't think that was the same man, because I was like, that's the same man. He looks so
Mhm.
much different." So I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember him being bald in Braxton Family Values, so I think he looks better
He's,
with hair, but
he didn't
not
look
that
no
kind of hair.
better. He didn't look no better with hair. He's not an unattractive man, but he'll never wow me or anybody else.
Okay, so I'm over here. Trina goes and visit Vaughn because he has congestive heart failure, and he pretty much tells her that he has to work out, he has to diet and everything. I glad to see that Trina supporting her husband. She always seems to be the supportive cleanup woman wife. Like, that's what I usually get from her a lot of times, especially when she was with Gabe. So it doesn't surprise me that this is her response, her behavior. You know, in a later on scene, because I'm just gonna throw this shit together. In a later on scene, she's cleaning out the pantry, telling him we need to eat better, we need to do better. And she brings up the apple fritter. He said, "No, Trina, I'm not giving up no apple fritter. I'll give up anything else, but not my apple fritter." And it was like, at first, I was gonna say, okay, well, look, Vaughn, you got to take this seriously. Like, that's a very serious thing. Like, dieting and eating certain vegetables and stuff will help with that. But at this point, Trina, let him have the apple fritter. I don't even care no more. Mrs. Best, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I just find it strange that someone would ship a fritter from a donut shop. I like apple fritters too, but I prefer them to be fresh and a little bit warm. Um, Vaughn, explain to us why you thought it was appropriate to propose to Trina at Tamar's engagement or at Tamar's birthday. Justice for Tamar. Explain that, brother. I ain't seen it for Vaughn since then. I thought that was him probably hearing Trina and Tawanda talk about Tamar or something and try to take a piece in it. I hope he lives. Seems like he's got great insurance.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
my statement.
Yes, I'm not going to talk about Tamar's interview with T.S. Madison because you can watch it on YouTube for the full thing. It was actually a lot better than the edits they had in the show. Unless there's something you want to mention about that interview.
No, no, we can move on. I'm tired of podcast on this show.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Missy is in the hospital having to have a stent put in her heart. Um, she didn't tell anybody about this. She thought she was just going for a routine checkup. So she had told Logan that that's what she was doing. But it concerned Logan to the point where he went into Tamar's room and said, "Hey, your mama's going to the hospital and, having a stent put in her heart," which kind of freaked out Tamar because she was like, she had no idea about this. So they're in the hospital. We saw scenes where Tamar was going over the hospital menu, which my grandmother was in a hospital just recently. And when I tell you that hospital food is terrible, it is terrible. It is some terrible stuff. Miss E was looking at Tamar like, "Don't read nothing else from that menu, please. I want some real food." Um, So later on, they're at Miss E's house, and Tony comes over, and they were talking and everything. And the other two sisters, which is Tamar and Trina, walk in as well. And Tamar asked the question that, "Why didn't you say anything to me? Like, why you didn't tell nobody you were going through this?" And Miss E said, "I just thought it was a regular doctor's appointment. I didn't think it was nothing serious." And everyone's like, "So you go to the 12-year-old and tell him about your doctor's appointment, but you don't think to tell not one of your daughters, your grown daughters?" And I felt them on that because that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Like, yes, it was in a way innocent enough, but that was a kid. You don't tell no kid what you got going on because it's not like he can take you to the doctor's appointment. So I kind of felt like she was hiding something because it's like, why would you tell a kid but not one of your daughters? At least one of them. Like, if Tony's always gone, so if you didn't want to get to the other three that are in town, you could have just told Tony. Like, at least tell one of them, or Michael. Like, tell one of them. But I'm glad to see that she's okay. They probably still have a long road. I don't remember if they said that or not. But how'd you feel about this scene, Mrs. Best?
You can move on. God is
Oh,
with her, as she said. Thank God for Jesus. Keep it
yeah.
lit.
So the next thing we're gonna talk about is Tawanda's dress, the moment y'all all are waiting for. So Tawanda goes dress shopping. She's still injured and everything, and she has the designer there. If I didn't know better, I would say this is either a quinceañera kind of event place or they do prom dresses. I'm
See,
like,
Tawanda chose to make beef with Tamar instead of making nice with Tamar. And so now she got to use her own budget. That's what we're seeing happen.
so she tries on the first dress and it is very ugly. So it was almost like an emerald blue. It was strapless, but then she had on this headpiece to her neck piece that had these drawstrings here, and then she had on something on her head. And I'm just looking at Tawanda. I'm like, I know you lying. Like, this is for the show, y'all. She really not gonna wear this to her wedding, but she was so serious. She goes, "Y'all don't like it," and they're all looking at her like, no. And
Somebody
Tree,
removed Tawanda as a producer because this whole scene felt produced. It did not feel genuine. Can we just talk about the dress?
Yes, we can talk about the dress. Go ahead, go off.
No, I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude or nothing, but like, Tawanda scenes really are boring me. Like, I'm like separate from everything and how I feel about the family, any beefs they have. Like if the families was, let's say it's old school BFV, Tracy's still here and all of that. If Tawanda was to come on this scene with this wedding, I'd be bored. All I want to say is I think the wedding is bullshit. I'm gonna call it a fake ass wedding. I'm not saying the relationship is fake, but I think the wedding is. I don't think these two ever intended to get married again based on how they operated and how they used to talk about how they felt about marriage when we saw them when Braxton Family Values was coming to an end. Why are you rushing your marriage, especially after God intervened to show you that it's not time to have your ass tapped on that ass by a car that was moving, as she likes to say it? So I don't like seeing someone rush a wedding, and I feel like she's rushing the wedding so she can have the wedding on the show, which makes it feel disingenuous to me. I'd also like to say, as someone whose favorite color is purple, she's making lavender look terrible. I don't know what the fuck she was thinking, putting lavender with chocolate. It does not work. She looked like she was going to go to a prom, a quinceanera, a debutante, but I can't. I just can't with Tawanda this season. I'm bored.
And she spoke, y'all. I'm gonna move on. So we get to the final scene, which is once again this very intense dinner scene. So as all the sisters are getting up, it's pleasantries, everybody's hugging and kissing each other and sitting down. And Tamar starts it off with, okay, so how was Tulum? And she said, and Tawana said Tulum was very, very nice. I had a really great time and everything. I'm injured. I couldn't have done much, but it was everything. And everyone, I don't know if it was Trina or if it was Tony that asked Tamar, why didn't you go to Tulum? And Tamar said, I had a ticket to come to Tulum. I was told that I was disinvited. And Tawana said, no, you were not. You were not disinvited. It wasn't, I didn't disinvite you and everything. And we were told you didn't want to film with us. And she goes, well, you already know why I don't want to film with y'all. But then she asked, well, how was the wedding coming? Do you have your dress or anything? And she said, no, I don't have everything all together. And she goes, well, isn't that typically the maid of honor's duty and everything like that? And Tony said, well, aren't you the maid of honor? And she goes, well, I have been relieved of my duties. She said, who relieved you of your duties? And what they did was they cut it to the confessionals. And even Tony said, okay, in Tamar's defense, I was confused by that as well because she said Lady of Honor. So they're all putting it as Tamar is saying that, or Tamar is making up the Maid of Honor thing. And she said all the women are Lady of Honors and that Tamar confused what it was. That's what they're hinting at. They didn't necessarily say that, but that's what they're hinting, that Tamar was never the Maid of Honor, that she took Lady of Honor as that title. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I do think that this was a setup to get her upset and for her to throw a tantrum so that Tawanda could sit back and point the finger and say, oh, look at Tamar's going to ruin everything. Tamar's just like she said to that producer, because Tawanda think we got selective memory. It was only one episode ago where you told the producer that Tamar's going to make it all about her, and that's why I don't want her here.
Tawanda thought because she finally got some producer credit that that wouldn't be included in the show. And Tawanda underestimated her little sister and did not think that Tamar would be smart enough to ask the producer on camera.
I 100% agree with that because to me, it does not make sense logically. I feel like they're trying to trigger her, and Tamar's not falling for the bait. And it's easy to trigger and antagonize your baby sister and for her to throw a tantrum. So that way you can point it out to the audience and say, hey, look at y'all. She's being obnoxious. She's being loud. She's wrong automatically. And I'm glad that society is not falling for that anymore. Because I think if y'all look back at the arguments where Tamar was in the forefront, Tamar isn't wrong. It's just her delivery is wrong. And I think that at this point,
Like
we
she
don't care anymore.
said, she was young. I do think we have to give reality stars that were on television young grace. I think a
Hmm.
good example of that would be the Jersey Shore. They came back on TV and the show is different. Like they've grown up, they're real adults. So I definitely think that Tamar has grown. She seems to be accountable and aware of her behavior in the past too. But I think the family, and family in general, is a good example. Some people are committed to knowing and seeing and experiencing the old you, even if you have changed for the better. I do think some of that is happening in the family, but Twanda ain't got no argument, but she gonna keep arguing. So
But let me tell you something. Tawanda played herself.
she was counting on the audience
Mm-hmm.
to hate on her sister. See, in Braxton Family Values, the original seasons, people grew a disdain for Tamar that
Yep.
was not her sisters trying to paint her as this horrible monster in their family. Today's time, the new era of the Braxtons, they came on season one wanting to make Tamar a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Because they know, whether they admit it or not, that I think with Trina, she's not in a place for drama. She had moved on, had other jobs, and is with her husband, and they don't seem to be too dramatic. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel like Tawanda knows, or is not willing, or is too broke to show her what's really going on in her life. So she thrives and kind of gets by on this show with having a beef. And the easiest person to have a beef with, if I was in the family, would be Tamar, but she's still stupid because when we can feel the want for the hate, and it comes across as like, well, damn, that's still your sister, bitch. Like, why do you want us to dislike her so much? Like, how does our opinion as an audience impact what goes on between y'all? It shouldn't.
And it shouldn't. Like that's the point. It shouldn't impact like us as a whole, as the viewer audience, their relationship, because yes, siblings have rivalries, siblings have little tiffs every now and then, all understandable. I more endured to Tamar and concede Tamar's point of view because my mom is the youngest, and my mom can be a little bit on the loud and obnoxious side, like Tamar, where it could look a little extra. And then when you provoke my mom is going to react because my mom has always had to like fight to be seen, as someone who could be right. And it's the same thing with Tamar. Tamar has to be loud and obnoxious because she has the baby syndrome of not being seen. But she's not wrong in a sense. And it's funny because they all come back to her for the one to count on. Like she's the one that everyone counts on. But then y'all want to throw slugs at her and then make her be the bad guy too. It does not work that way. Y'all can't count on her as your sister and digging y'all out of financial hardships and then paint her to be the villain. Like it does not work that way. Like I hate that they do that to her. Like it's just, as someone who has watched from the beginning, I feel like they've always done this to her, and that's messed up. And I would have had it too. Like I don't blame her for tossing that glass or that water on Tawanda, because I would have had enough as well. You're not going to use me financially and then try to paint me on a villain to your own benefit. That's not how that works. And Tamar, honestly, start cutting people off.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Start cutting people off financially, and you will see
Not
all that's
just
going to be real.
financially.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, Tamar. I come from a very big family as well. I'm not the youngest. I am the oldest, but I don't really deal with family too much. Like I acknowledge them. I love them. If there's a big event, graduation, someone gets an award, gets married, I'ma show up. But outside of that, I don't deal with them too much. I think Tamar needs to understand that you can love your family from a distance. We don't choose our families, we don't choose our parents, but they are just meant to be a foundation for us to learn and grow until we're ready to go out there and create our own life and our own family and our own friendships. I think a lot of families forget that and just we need to be around each other. We need to do this. We all we got. And it doesn't have to be that. Tamar needs to continue with therapy. And I feel like Tamar's therapist, just on how she's reacting, I feel like Tamar's therapy, because she's very candid about it, but I feel like she's probably been told or has recognized in therapy that she does need to cut off her family, but is not willing to. But she needs to. It's not
She
worth it.
does. It's not worth it.
It's
And it's
not worth
like,
it.
it's not worth for you to be the scapegoat and then the provider at the same time. It just does not, it's crazy. It's like,
I almost want her to leave the show
yep.
quietly. Like Tamar does not need to come back to this show because it's going to be the same thing season 3, 4, 5. If they get all of these renewals, it's going to be the same shit season after season. They're all going to gang up on her. She's always going to walk on eggshells because you can tell when a camera is on them, they want her because she is the most vocal one and the honest one in the family. So when cameras come on, you could tell they probably be coaching her and it cause all sorts of stress and strife that don't have to be there. Tamar has jobs, she's booked. I say let them have it. I had to
Yeah,
learn that. Like sometimes it's not worth the argument. Sometimes it's not worth allowing yourself to get upset. Like it's okay to walk away. I want
it
her to do
is.
it.
I want her to do it as well. I want her to walk away too, because to me, if this is the Braxtons and they are trying to ice Tamar every chance they get, or Hayes every chance they get, remove yourself and see how the show survives. Because all we see of Tony is her in that damn Maybach. Also, all we see of her, we don't never see her in, like, this was the first time I think in what? How many episodes is it? Is it 3 episodes where Tony has been in the
Like,
same room
yeah.
with the other sisters? So
And I want
yeah,
to know too, Tony, while you busy fucking over your sister because you did not have her back and you should have. You were wrong, older sibling, older sibling. I'm just saying. But how
yeah.
you married to the cash money millionaire? I'm excited for the verses tonight, y'all. But how are you married to the cash money millionaire and Tamar, a single woman, had to go and put a down payment on Tawanda's house? Now, why couldn't you go to Brian, aka Birdman, and ask your husband for 30,000, which should be nothing to him, as he so claims? Why couldn't you go ask your husband and get that, see what that mouth do to get your sister her down payment on her house? Why Tamar had to pay? You can't be paying Carrie that much in alimony. So that's what I want to know. Because everybody's so busy coming at Tamar, and I'm looking like, wait a second, Tony, you ain't been as helpful as you was back in the day with the family.
Do you blame her?
I don't blame her. But Tamar, you need to take notes from your sister.
As I said, I really feel like, this is my honest opinion, I feel like Miss E put her up to it. I do. I feel like it was Miss E saying, your sister need to get in the house. She got them kids, and black people do this all the time. That's why I
Yeah.
know. I feel like it was Miss. I do, like, this is my honest opinion. This is alleged. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm just saying it feels like to me it was Miss E put that Tamar up to it. Like, I feel like, you got the money.
Miss
You
E,
doing good.
let me tell y'all, Miss E is the example of why some people run from the church who grow up in it. Miss
Yep.
E is the exact example of that. I'm not trying to be rude, but the people who quote the Bible the most, talk about their love for the Lord, how much they're a good person, make themselves into a victim, them be the most fucked up people.
I'm
The
trying
most
to tell you.
fucked up people. And you'd be surprised what people will do. And a lot of older black women that move like Miss E have the belief these are my kids and my family, and I can do with them what I please. So
Yeah.
you can't tell her nothing. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, but Miss E definitely had a part in that because Tamar said when she was a child, something happened to her, and she went to her parents and her family, and Miss E and them did not do anything to help her. So yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. But that was pretty much the Braxton, y'all. As I said, I want WeTV to pull this show off here. I really do, because this is so sad. I do. This is terrible. So, but that's it. I'm
I'm
oh, what was all that? I love Tony Braxton, but
Toni
this
Braxton
reality
is a
show,
legend. I'm
yes, I
going
love
to her
him.
tour too. She's going on tour with Boys to Men and New Edition. I've been wanting to see all three of them. I love me some Tony Braxton. I do.
Yep. Well, yep, we shall be there, and I cannot wait. I am super excited. So, overall, y'all, that was it. That was the Braxtons. I got Bell Collective up next, y'all. And I'm about a minute late to that recap, so make sure y'all come on over to Bell Collective because we got a lot to get into. So, I will see you guys on my next recap. Thank you so much for being here. We definitely appreciate that, and I hope to see you guys on my next recap. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and shout out to the replay gang. See y'all next time. Bye bye.